Hey guys, this is your host, and you're watching this news channel. And today, we are coming to you from beautiful downtown Toronto in Canada. We're actually at a cafe right now. It's very nice. Hope everyone's doing well. There was some major news that broke yesterday that I want to talk about today. This is a warning for anyone who uses Google Gmail. Google just had a major data breach. Let's get into it. So let's go over what exactly happened. We're going to be looking at two different stories here. One of them was just published today by Bloomberg. Hackers exploited flaw in Google's Gmail to steal users' data. Now, we also have an update. The second story is titled, Google says it will tell users if their data was part of large Gmail hack. So these two stories were published within 1 day of each other. One from Bloomberg News and one by Google themselves. So the Bloomberg article says that hackers exploited a vulnerability in Gmail that allowed them to see the contents of emails sent between users, which is wild. Now, it's important to mention that this flaw didn't allow hackers to get into Gmail accounts, but it did allow them to view the contents of emails being sent between people who use Gmail. So basically, if you sent an email to someone else who has a Gmail account, the contents of that email could have been seen by hackers. But it wasn't just any email. The hackers were only able to see the contents of emails that included attachments. So if you ever send or receive an email that has an attachment, something like a PDF file or an Excel file, something that's not a message, it's a file. They could have viewed it. They could have viewed whatever was attached. Now, Bloomberg reports that the flaw lasted for almost 2 years. This is crazy. From May of 2022, January of 2022. So just recently, this bug was finally patched by Google, but it's unclear how many people were affected by it. Bloomberg reports that the issue resulted from a misconfiguration at Google, and it was discovered by cybersecurity firm MWR Labs. Then they worked with Google to disclose the flaw to their clients. Google confirmed to Bloomberg that there was an issue with how Gmail handled attachments, but said that it has since been fixed. Here's what they told Bloomberg. Last year, we identified and fixed an issue in Gmail related to message attachments that could allow an attacker to, in certain circumstances, see the contents of emails sent between Google accounts. This issue existed for a short period of time between May 2020 and January 2022. Our investigation shows no evidence that any customer data was accessed by Google or any third parties. We have already notified affected Gmail users and we're blocking malicious actors from accessing our systems. But that statement is very vague, and they don't say much at all. They don't tell us anything about the bug itself. How is it possible? Why did it happen? What was the misconfiguration? They don't give us anything. And even though they claim that no evidence shows that any customer data was accessed by Google or any third parties, how can they be so sure? Because they have zero transparency. No one knows how Gmail works. No one knows how Google works. And no one knows if Google is being honest or not. Remember, we have zero proof that they are telling the truth. We have another story that was released today that says that Google will notify its users if their data was compromised. So this is an update to the original story. So I guess this is good news, right? They're going to tell us if our data was compromised. Well, maybe not. Let me read you what Google said. In an unusual move, the company said it will tell users if their Gmail data was part of a massive hack disclosed earlier this month, providing more details about the scope of the attack than previously known. Google said it will check whether users' data was involved and then decide whether to notify them. Notification may include information such as a summary of what happened, steps users can take to protect themselves, and identity theft protection services. So, it's pretty vague. They say that they will tell users if their Gmail data was part of a massive hack, but they don't elaborate on what that means. What does that mean exactly? If it was a small portion of your email or the entire thing, are they going to tell you? Are they going to tell you how much data was stolen? Are they going to tell you everything? Or are they going to be vague about it? And what do they mean when they say it's a massive hack? Massive to them might mean 1,000 people, and massive to me might mean millions of people. So they didn't really elaborate on anything. What we do know is that Google says that they're going to check whether users' data was involved, and then they will decide whether to notify them. So Google gets to decide if you get notified or not. And this is the concerning part, because obviously, they're not going to tell you if your data was part of the hack. If it doesn't benefit them in the long run. If they've been hiding stuff in the past, they're probably going to continue hiding stuff in the future. And this is where things get very interesting. Because we have a history of Google lying to its users in the past. In fact, in 2018, Google admitted to scanning Gmail content for ad targeting, and I remember this very well because I had people messaging me about it saying, "Hey, smart, did you see this?" But here's what happened back then. Google's then chief privacy officer, Keith Enright, wrote a blog post explaining that Google scans Gmail messages to show relevant ads. He said that Google's practice complied with privacy law and that users expected it. However, less than a week after his post, Google announced that it would stop scanning Gmail for ad targeting. So they lied to their users. They tried to say that they were doing the right thing, but it turned out that they weren't. And then also, we have a more recent incident. In November of last year, Google acknowledged that its contractors were reading YouTube comments to improve search results. So basically, Google was using humans to read comments on YouTube videos to improve search results. Now, Google said that its contractors only reviewed a very small sample of public YouTube comments, and that users were given the option to opt out. But this is concerning because, again, they're trying to say that they're being transparent and open, but it really begs the question, how much of our data are they using? How much of our emails, our photos, our chats, our communications are they using, and what are they using it for? They're saying that they're improving search results, but who knows what else they're doing with our data? Now, I'm not a lawyer, but there's a very interesting part in this new article that came out today. Here's what it says. The notification effort comes after a report from an internet watchdog group alleged that Google failed to inform French regulators of the flaw within the required 72 hours. That failure would violate France's data protection law. Google disputed the allegation, so apparently Google has 72 hours to tell regulators if a bug occurs. And apparently, according to this watchdog group, they didn't do it. They took longer than 72 hours. And this is serious because depending on the severity of the bug, they could face heavy fines. In fact, in 2020, the French authority CNIL fined Google 50 million euros for not respecting users' rights in terms of cookies. The amount represents 4% of the company's total revenue in France for the preceding financial year. So they could face hefty fines. But again, the details of this bug, we have no idea. We don't know anything about it. This all goes to show that you can't trust companies anymore. You can't trust Google. You can't trust Facebook. You can't trust Microsoft. You can't trust Apple. You can't trust any of these multi-billion-dollar companies because at the end of the day, it's all about one thing. Money. They're only out for one thing, and that's making as much profit as possible. And if they need to lie to you, they're going to do it. If they need to deceive you, they're going to do it. If they need to steal your data, they're going to do it. Now, if you think this is bad, there's actually good news. You want to know the most secure email provider? ProtonMail is based in Switzerland, which is a country with strong privacy laws. They don't have mandatory data retention laws. So if you value your privacy and you value security, this is something I highly recommend. They offer end-to-end encryption, open source software, no access to your emails, anonymous account creation. I used them for months and I loved it. So if you want to learn more, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave us a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn notifications on. See you next time!